Welcome to our fourth video where we speak to higher education leaders on how they've been preparing students for ongoing e-learning, the importance of managing student expectations, and how they are managing this effectively.
I think we have those two categories of students, of course. Students who decided to follow online studies. So for them, I would say COVID-19 is just normal. They are just continuing to learn online and these kind of things. For the others, I would say the decisions to have more distance learning, virtual, I would say organizations is not necessarily a choice from I would say a choice. If they decide to join a campus, it's just to have this experience to meet with other people in reality. So what is important here is to make that possible and to be sure that they would continue to be able to reach those campuses and to improve their experience when they will join those campuses. Once again, always the same direction here is that we need to improve the type of teaching, a new pedagogy, moving in the directions of flipped classroom, improving the experience and I would say work about labs and whatever that just use the campus and physical I would say location for their value. And this is very important. What is sure is that people are not ready to live or to live in a just a virtual world.
Many of them, there's been a long break since the last time they were doing their studying. So we have put in place a whole new suite of courses which are offered through our Learn VLE to prepare students and help them with that transition. So the new students, but also the returning students, the transition to hybrid learning. So we've been preparing courses together with our student support services and our library to really look at the academic skills, the study skills that they will need for successful learning in this blended and hybrid mode.
Yeah, so we are a bit better prepared now than we were when this started on the 15th of March. But I think we have to be realistic in our expectations. We cannot certainly make our teachers into experts for online education. So what we will do, we started with online education 1.0. Basically the most basic level of online education. And hopefully we will go to online education 1.2 or 1.3 in this year, with slight improvements, with more information for students beforehand, telling them how they can study in this situation. And we will allow small groups of students to come into the university to have an on-campus experience next to the online experience that they will have.
Our three higher education leaders go on to explain how they've been gathering student feedback and how they've incorporated this into the development of content, courses, and programs.
We did this survey for students, so we have a good idea what students experienced last year and what they saw as problematic. And we made a website for students going into these things. So we actually addressed the points that came out of the survey. So, for instance, they said they are more stressed, maybe even a bit more depressed than they normally are. So we have a lot of tips how to cope with that. They tell us we don't know how to study online in the most effective way. So we advise them to use the interleaving technique to study in this online situation.
As a university, obviously, we're doing lots to try to keep in touch with the students, the new students and the returning students, to find out how they will be feeling about the start of semester one this year and the return to campus and the delivery online. One of the things that we're doing at University of Edinburgh over the summer, though, is to have a lot of students working with us. So we have recruited from our returning cohorts students who have worked with us as interns over the summer, paid work over the summer, to support colleagues in how the material has been migrated and populated into our virtual learning environment. So we have 40 students at the University of Edinburgh working with us to co-create the experience that the returning students and the new students will see when they return back to the university and start to use the learning environment.
I would say we are moving slowly from 1 or 2 surveys per year to very more frequent surveys and online surveys. And clearly we have a plan here and a kind of programs to move to what we call live surveys, micro surveys where we try to get their feedback in the context of their experience. You know, few questions. Okay, are you happy about these virtual classrooms? Is the materials were okay? And not just, you know, a full questionnaire at the end of the semester. So we are moving organizations to a very flexible, I would say, continuous survey organization. It's not yet in place, but it is where we are going here.
It's no longer just course delivery that is of concern to the institution, but there is now a much wider focus on how they can support their students' well-being, mental health, as well as making sure that they understand the new realities of education with reduced campus access.
So the preparation of the next steps and are really in the hands of our different institutions, because of course those institutions are providing teaching in many different fields with a variety of domains. So of course they are very close to this reality, and it belongs to them to do and to organize this kind of communication. What I can say is that this communication is starting before the students join our institution. So we are communicating with them through websites, social media and whatever, to say, okay, what would be your experience if you reach and if you join our institution? And then from the first beginning days, we try to provide them, you know, all the information, of course, about the safety questions, but also about what Galileo institutions are providing in terms of maybe specific organizations to face this new reality and to improve this reality.
Yeah, in this situation where students are restricted from their normal social life, I think the university has to watch out for the student well-being more than they normally do. And normally you can expect students to have a social circle with which they interact, and if they have problems, they talk to their friends, or they go out for an evening and feel better because they had a nice evening. But now a lot of the nice things in life are not possible for students anymore. So that means that normal ways to reduce stress in your life are not available for them at the moment. And they still have to study. So I think we need to do something to try to reduce their stress levels as much as possible.
At University of Edinburgh, one of the things we're very aware of is that not everybody has rich access to technology. So we've had to think about how we organise our learning materials and plan our courses and design our courses so that we can be sure to include and make accessible the materials for people studying in various different modes using different levels of technology. So we've been doing lots of thinking about the use of media, about the use of transcripts and captions and subtitles, and the ways in which we can be sure to make sure that all of our diverse group of students can feel included in the curriculum, as well as the content of the curriculum, but also the way that it's delivered.
Next, Melissa goes on to explain what additional support services and guidance the University of Edinburgh is adding to their student portal.
And one of the things that we're adding to our student support provision this year is lots of thinking about student behaviour online and e-safety and digital citizenship, so that we can reflect those values about dignity and respect and the underpinning of learning and being creative and trying out new ideas, but in safe spaces online.
Thomas reiterates his point from the first video in the series. that digital delivery should be a focus for all universities and not just a reaction to COVID-19.
COVID-19 should not be a constraint. COVID-19 is just there to improve organizations and just to accelerate what we were thinking about what we should do with digital learning.
We are truly entering a new era of education where institutions need to become more agile in their delivery and increasingly student-led. We also see the importance of gathering regular student feedback and engaging students in the course design process. Next to that, we also see a very strong emphasis on taking into account student well-being and mental health, as well as providing educational programs that are accessible and inclusive. Be sure to join us in our final video in this series, where our higher education leaders will share their personal views on the future of online and hybrid learning, as well as what institutions need to do to meet the needs of their students. And why not sign up to our YouTube channel for additional video content?